This is part 2 of a 3-part series about pediatric vehicular heat stroke, the tragic consequence of when children succumb to the heat inside a hot vehicle. In this segment, we'll be looking at PVH by the numbers, hopefully providing tools that others can use for strategies and campaigns to help prevent these sorts of disasters and tragedies. How are cases tracked? At noheatstroke.org, they're tracked through electronic media reports, approximately 20 customized Google News searches, also contacts with the media, law enforcement, also other publicly verifiable case information. There's also in the past been efforts to look at death certificates, but those average only about 50% of the numbers that are found with media searches. In a study done by NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, back in 2005-2007, they found, using birth certificates, 19 cases per year. As while looking at media reports, we found 37 per year. Sometimes this is a result of improper, incomplete ICD codes. This is a coding that's used in health statistical databases to track cases. So PVH by the numbers, and these next 24 slides or so are going to have lots of graphs and data on them. Don't worry about tracking the numbers specifically. They're available at noheatstroke.org. This is the annual distribution of cases. The numbers up until 2019 were fairly consistent with the mean being about 37 or 38 per year. With the pandemic, we've seen a change in people's patterns of driving to work, taking children to daycare, working from home, and fortunately, we've seen the numbers of PVH deaths drop off. As you expect, the highest numbers are during the summertime months, with June, July, and August accounting for almost 80% of the cases, though there has not been a month that there has not been a hot car death. The cases have begun as early as January, and some of the later cases have been into mid-May, with the average first case of the year approximately March 25th. The instances of hot car deaths fall into 3 broad categories. The first is where children are forgotten. They're unknowingly left inside vehicles. This is slightly more than 50% of the cases. And of that, almost half of those, 47%, are where children are not being dropped off at some sort of babysitting, daycare, childcare, situations like that. So just the combination of those two numbers gives us almost 25% of the cases are related to child not being dropped off at childcare. The next biggest category is where children gain access on their own. Almost a quarter of the cases where a child will get inside a vehicle either to find a quiet space, to hide, to read a book, or whatever they might do, but it's an unsafe place for children to be. And they get overcome by the heat. Sometimes they may not be able to get out of the vehicle due to child safety locks in the back seats. And then the final about 20% or so are where children are knowingly left, or a parent or caregiver makes a knowing choice to leave that child in the car while they go do some other activity. It can be go to an appointment. It can be go to a bar, a racetrack, to hook up with somebody. Sadly, all of these are instances that have occurred. So if we look at the annual cases per year, where the forgotten cases, that's accounts for about 20 per year. And again, the numbers have stayed fairly stable up until the last 4 pandemic years. The gained access cases, actually there's a slight downward trend in this, and obviously that is all good. Knowingly left cases have remained fairly constant, and unfortunately in recent years we have seen some of those numbers go up. And again, these are all numbers that can be used for advertising and other strategies for prevention. I found that this data particularly interesting. So this is looking at all cases by the day of the week, with a peak toward the latter half of the work week. And if we break this down by forgotten cases, you can see Thursday is actually the highest, and then closely followed by Friday. The thought here by some of the psychology professionals is that people are getting tired toward the end of the week, so they maybe are more likely to forget a child, and that the numbers are slightly off on Friday than Thursday due to more people having alternate work schedules and some not working on Fridays. In the gained access case, as one would suspect, those numbers are up on the weekend when children are at home more. Knowingly left is pretty much any time of the week. The age distribution is very much skewed toward younger children. Over half the children are less than 2 years old. The average age is about 27 months. Broken down by circumstances, even a greater percentage, almost 2/3, almost 3/4, are where children are forgotten and that are less than 2 years old. Of the gained access cases, as you would suspect, these are going to be the higher age groups, with the average age being 47 months, almost 4 years old. And the knowingly left pretty much parallels the forgotten cases as far as the age distribution, with between 2/3 and 3/4 in the under 2-year category. Breaking it down by the responsible party who either left the child in the car or had custody during when they gained access, about 2/3 are by the parents, a slightly higher percentage by the mother than the father. In forgotten cases, that slightly shifts, with the father being the most likely responsible party for a child forgotten in a car. Gained access, this is most often when the mother is a custodial parent at the time that the child gains access. Knowingly left, skewed very strongly toward the mother, 60% of the cases, father about 19% of the cases. But it can happen to anyone. This is just a partial list of the different occupations and activities that people have at the time when their children died in vehicles. Again, it covers the whole spectrum of socioeconomic and other spectrums of society. Just over half the cases occur when children are at home. This would be in a vehicle outside the residence. A quarter of the cases at work, and then the other smaller percentages at child care or a park or other activities. More than half are on hotter days, 90 degrees or above, but that does not exclude days that are in the 80s, 70s, and some even under the 70-degree mark. So there's no safe time to leave a child in a hot car. Here's the geographic distribution shown earlier, with the greatest proportion of cases in the southern tier of states. And this is breaking it down per capita. So we're now looking at the number of children who per 1 million people who died in hot cars. And again, you can see this strong push across the the southern tier of states being in the highest categories here. So again, all this information is available at noheatstroke.org. There's also an online course having some of this information from the National Safety Council at the URL shown here. And again, you can always reach out to me directly at jnull@noheatstroke.org. Thank you, and I hope you'll also listen to parts 1 and 3.